Running backs. First off, we got A.J. Dillon. Sorry, these running backs are kind of out of order, but this is how I have them.
It's all good. Yeah, A.J. Dillon, a guy who, he was coming off a bad game a couple weeks ago. I think he had like 2 fumbles or something like that. And then plays on Thursday night. No Devontae Adams, no Alan Lazard. I brought it up in the Thursday night preview for that game that I thought we would see a heavy dose of A.J. Dillon because the Cardinals were giving up like 5 yards per carry. And, with the lack of pass-catching weapons there, Fort Rogers, I felt like they were going to rely on the ground game a ton. Keep Colin Murray on the sideline, just ground and pound out of victory. I think they did that for the most part. I think he had like 15, 16 carries, got like 78 rushing yards. Don't quote me on that exactly. But, he looked good. And I want to say, #interesting stat I saw or I read somewhere, it was in terms of like yards after contact, I think he's like number 1. And you would think it's like Derrick Henry, but it's like he's number 1 in yards after contact. You just see how big the guy is. we talk about Derrick Henry being big. A.J. Dillon's a
gigantic,
pretty big dude as well. So, the last 5 games, he's had 11 or more carries in 3 of the 5. It's starting to get colder. When you're playing in Lambeau Field, it's cold up there. It's, as you would say, frigid, I guess is a nice word. The last thing you're going to want to do as a defender, especially a safety or a cornerback, is to tackle this guy who's just humongous, running full speed at you. So I do think as we get, towards, November is starting up, December, maybe we start to see A.J. Dillon a little more utilized in the ground game because, like I said, it is hard to tackle a guy that big, especially when it's freezing cold outside.
Yeah,
so,
I think it took a little bit of time for him to get more involved. But, obviously, I think what this is kind of like a speculation at. That's a lot of yards.
Yeah. And then, God forbid if anything happens to Aaron Jones, it seems like he would be the guy that they would just like full workhorse load to. So,
yeah.
Yeah. A good bench stash, at this point, kind of, like I said, if anything happened to Aaron Jones, he would be the guy. So, lottery ticket, or if you have Aaron Jones, I definitely want A.J. Dillon on my team.
Definitely. Make sure you go get him if he's available. Let's go on to the next guy. We have our boy. He plays for the Las Vegas Raiders. He is a great guy.
Drake! Drake!
We got Kenyan Drake.
Hello there. Hey, listen, right now, I know we talk about him a lot, but Underdog Fantasy, it has a really good deal right now. It's a player pick'em app. It's a DFS app. It's very similar to DraftKings or FanDuel, but this is better. It's brand new, very easy to use interface. But if you download the app right now and use promo code AVG, they used to hook up with $10 with your first deposit. Right now, they're matching you up to $100. So if you put $100 in the app right now on your first deposit, you will get an extra $100 to play around with. They got player pick'ems. You can even do a private match inside Underdog Fantasy. It's pretty dope. So you can like challenge people and whatnot. You don't have to maintain a team for all year. So you can just draft your team, play that week, draft the next team next week. You could do it daily in like a Thursday night game as well. So go check it out. Tons of prizes. Free $100. Come on, sign up. It's the best. And use promo code AVG. Now back to your video.
For the Las Vegas Raiders, running back does pretty well. By the way, speaking of running backs, who do you think is who so far on Sunday had the biggest fantasy game as far as running backs?
Darrell Henderson.
Nope. You'll never guess it. You want to play this game again?
Last time you did it, I guessed it on the first try.
Yeah, okay.
Best running back so far.
In week 8.
Michael Carter.
Okay, well, yeah. I gave it to you by saying that. And guess what? Your boy benched him.
Yeah. Nice.
Tell it.
Yeah.
Anyways, Kenyan Drake. Let's go ahead and tell the people, man, what's going on?
Yeah, so Drake's kind of had an up and down season. A couple weeks ago he had the game where he got the rushing touchdown and the passing touchdown, but I think it came on like 6 touches or 7 touches. We just said, hey, that type of efficiency is not something that should be able to sustain, so we didn't really like it. The next week he comes out. Josh Jacobs gets hurt, so now they really relied on Kenyan Drake. He came out, and he got you 17 PPR points in that game, scores another rushing touchdown prior to the bye. But, the last 2 weeks, 21 points, 17 points in PPR leagues. He's like 40 to 50% available. at this point, like I said, you can never have enough running backs. Like get Drake on my team, and if anything happens to Josh Jacobs, I know Peyton Barber was the guy who was kind of heavily utilized, but John Gruden isn't there anymore, so you got like a new, I guess, offensive-minded coach calling the plays or running the show over there for the Las Vegas Raiders, and maybe they want to utilize Drake more than in the past. So, yeah, go out and get Drake.
Very good. Drake, baby Drake. I don't know how I feel. Anyways, you said it well enough. Let's go into Jordan Howard with the Philadelphia Eagles. No Miles Sanders, so we got a couple of Eagles boys to talk about. Jordan Howard, what are your thoughts? Because you got him and Boston Scott. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, this Eagles running back, or the Eagles running backs, I should say, it looks like a mess right now. I mean, this is we're getting too close to that territory of like the Ravens backfield in terms of, if it's only a 1-game sample size with Miles Sanders being on IR. He'll be out for at least 2 more weeks. But, I mean, the snap percentage was Boston Scott led the running backs 45%, Kenneth Gainwell 31%, Jordan Howard 25%. But in terms of, like, the touches, you had Kenneth Gainwell 13 touches for 27 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 receptions, which is insane when you think of Gainwell being, like, the pass-catching back out of the 3. And it's with how many points they put up, you would think that Kenneth Gainwell would have definitely gotten you some points there. But, yeah, only 13 carries for 27 yards, Kenneth Gainwell. Boston Scott, 12 carries, 60 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jordan Howard, 12 carries, 57 yards, 2 touchdowns. So this makes me super nervous if I am a Kenneth Gainwell owner. And if you started him last week, he obviously put up a dud for you. But it seems like when they get in close, it's going to be Boston Scott, it's going to be Jordan Howard, it's going to be Jalen Hurts, and then it's going to be Kenneth Gainwell, who's getting the goal line, getting the goal line carries while Miles Sanders is out. So this is just gross. I mean, obviously it's hard to dictate too because they were up by so much. I think Jalen Hurts only threw the ball 16, 17, 18 times in that ballpark. So it's kind of hard to gauge on how they're going to utilize these running backs. But, yeah, when they get in close, it looks like Boston Scott, Jordan Howard, those are going to be the guys that they're going to give the ball to, not Kenneth Gainwell. So these guys are like desperation plays. I don't feel confident at all picking up any of these guys and throwing them to my lineup. I mean, maybe Boston Scott because he's kind of the one who could do both, I guess. He could run in the goal line and get some catches, where Jordan Howard is just a ball carrier, goal line back, and it seems like Kenneth Gainwell is just kind of like the receiving back, even though he didn't get any receptions this last game. But.
Yeah, you know what? Whenever I see a split with running backs, even at 50%, I'm like, this makes me nervous if they're going 50-50 with another running back. But when no running back on the team has a snap count of over 50%, it's literally 31, 45, and 25. I'm good. I'm going to stay away from that backfield because if anything, the running back I'm going to go for is Jalen Hurts in any of these matchups.
Definitely.
Yeah, so it makes me super nervous too. Hey, did you like that video? No, not the one of Big Ben completely eating shit when nobody even touched him. I'm talking about our fantasy football video we just did. You just watched. Well, guess what? That was just a clip from the full audio podcast. So if you want to check out the whole thing, links down below. AVG Fantasy Football Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, all of them. Anywhere you can get audio podcasts, we're there. Go ahead and check it out. And if you don't want to look at your fantasy team to look the way Big Ben does right here, wait for it. Come on, replay. This is your fantasy team. But that won't be your fantasy team if you subscribe to AVG Fantasy Football. So go ahead, subscribe and like this video. Subscribe to the channel and like.